Welcome back, guys, for another bike build. I'm used to working on brand new bikes, but for Cristiano, we decided to do a full build on his used Husqvarna 701 Enduro. And now I'll list you the parts that I installed and the parts that were already on the bike. To start with, we had to make a build for him to go and take part in adventure riding events such as Hard Alpi Tour, Deus Swank Rally, and so on. So the decision was that we would have used a Carpe Iter tablet, because you can put Roadbook, you can put, all the GPS tracks, and you can command them via Bluetooth with the switch. To install the Carpe Iter, he wanted it vertical instead of horizontal. I see a lot of riders also in Gibraltar race using it this way. To hold the tablet, obviously, is the Rebel X Sports Rally Kit with the full nav tower that uses the Rally Replica windshield and aerodynamics. It has a street legal headlight with the position light, low beam and high beam. All the wiring harness of this kit is plug and play, no need to fiddle with wires or to run wires to your battery. All is done here in the front, thanks also to our 6-way fuse box with LED error indicator. Moving on to other features that we had to install to run the Carpe Iter, we have the dual charger. So we have a charger here on the top and then one with the pins on the bracket. On the sides of the tower, we have a voltmeter display to know how much power there is coming out from the battery, but also 2 USB ports. Many people always ask me, but where should I put the turn indicators? There is, I think, Upshift online that I don't know why they wrote a bit of bullshit on the kit, because there is the position OEM on the nav tower to place on the headlight brackets the OEM indicators or any third-party indicators. The headlight is protected by the stone guard, and this is sealed with a rubber seal around it so that no dust will get inside, and clearing your windshield and headlight will be always easy. The airflow is designed to go on the side of the rider instead of on top, so this avoids buffeting. We then have on the handlebar the rally handguards. These are the same ones used by the factory KTM and Husqvarna and Gas team. They look really nice. We also have had a special production with the spoiler made in white, so I think this looks really good. On the handlebar then we put BRP mounts for the Scott steering damper. Yes, the kit, the nav tower kit by Rebel X Sports, is compatible with the Scott steering damper and with the BRP mount. On top of the mount we put the Rebel X upper riser, where you can fit either a quad lock, you can fit a Garmin mount, or any other device, even other RAM mounts. Looking at this other view, there are some details I want to share with you, because the Carpe Iter can tilt, so it can be tilted at different angles depending on how you prefer to read it, but also you can turn it around in landscape mode, and if you put it in landscape mode, you'll have even some space up here you can utilize for a RAM mount, maybe a GoPro, and so on. On the handlebar, the 701 has a really bulky switch. We changed this with the Enduro switch from the Husqvarna FE. Just to let you know, this is a plug and play solution, so if you want to change on your 701 the light switch, you can do it very easily. Just order the OEM Enduro FE series switch. On the handlebar, we can see that this is something that was already put by Cristiano, the CNC machined anodized caps, and these ASD levers with quick adjustment and that are made to bend in case of crash. I must say I really like the finish of these levers. I'm now tempted to use them on some other build and check them out where I can get them. Cristiano also has on the handlebar a stopwatch. This can be very useful in events like Gibraltar race where you wanna check your time. And the closed handguards provide a good protection with the foam grips that give more comfort on long rides, but in case of mud can be tricky to ride with these. Another nice feature of this tower is that You move the OEM dashboard on the tower, so in a much more visible place, especially if you want to see when you're running out of fuel and the reserve turns on. Also, the indicators and the ABS switch is moved on the tower. Moving on the side, you can see we went for a full bike graphic in crystal material, so thick material that will protect the plastics, cause we also changed all the plastics on this bike, and we changed the seat cover. We went for the Selle della Valle factory rally seat cover, on which we also put a time card pocket, extremely useful either for a time card when you're at a rally, but sometimes even to put your earplugs or put, you know, some important things that you want to have in handy. This seat cover, if we compare it with the OEM one, is much more comfortable. It's a quick dry leather, so it has a good grip, but especially if you go on long rides, it's more softer material. And on the back you have the camel humps, which have a layer of memory foam underneath, so when you're in a liaison you can sit back here and have even more comfort. On this side of the bike you can see there is a Tecmo carbon heat protector for the exhaust, and also we installed the ignition and clutch covers in carbon from Tecmo. The reason for this choice is because they add a layer of protection, especially with the 701 having the clutch cover pretty exposed, and in case of crash, you know, we want to preserve as much as possible the clutch cover. Furthermore, these were installed, the Outback MotorTech protectors. These can really make a difference. Cristiano, before coming here, took a few hits, and these preserved his radiator. One thing I want to say about, you know, crash bars, there are many on the market, but what I like from the Outback MotorTech one is that you really don't feel their presence. When you're riding, they, you know, don't clash against your boot or anything, so I think they're a really nice solution. Also, from a design point of view, they don't ruin the design of the bike. These lowered foot pegs were already installed. I'm a bit against lower foot pegs. It's probably a personal opinion, but dealing with many pro riders, the problem of having lowered foot pegs is if you go into a wet at a pretty high speed and your suspension bottoms out, it will be much easier that your foot catches in the terrain or into rocks or into ruts if you're riding in the mud. For this reason, generally, we always keep the standard height and never lower them. But I will admit that when you're traveling, especially when you're on asphalt, the lower foot pegs make it a much more comfortable ride. On the rear, we have a Vanache Motorsport cap. One thing I like of this cap is that it has this wire so that you'll never end up losing or making the cap fall. Even though I prefer to put the plastic one than the aluminum one, but it looks really nice and really well built. Then we have a rack, a rear rack. This is from Raid Garage. And on top of it, we have an Enduristan tail pack. I like the Enduristan tail pack because other than being waterproof, it's pretty big. I reckon I could fit probably 150 condoms inside it or even more. Other people, other riders use it as a tool bag, so to put tools or to put the medical kit, even though on the front nav tower we can put the medical kit. But in this case, if you have a tail bag in the front, you can probably put the rain jacket and your rain gear, so that's easily accessible if it starts pouring rain. The exhaust is a narrow exhaust, and the turn indicators, we raised them higher so that they wouldn't end up melting with the exhaust. On the lower part of the bike, we can see we added a protector for the ABS. It's an aluminum protector. We also changed the bolts with blue anodized bolts. We have this bash plate that was already installed on the bike. I don't know which brand it is, but it's in a very thick HDPE plastic. I like the HDPE plastic bash plates because they're very flexible, but also grant great protection, whereas aluminum ones sometimes can get dents inside and then it's difficult to repair them, whereas these always will look almost new, just with scratches. We then changed the sprocket and the chain, so we put a different chain and both sprockets were changed, but we kept the OEM ratio. I always put on the bikes the Super Sprox sprocket. The reason for this is because it's metal outside and aluminium inside. This means that the teeth won't wear out as quickly as if it was all in aluminium. The aluminium inside provides cool look because it's blue anodized, but also it reduces the weight of the sprocket. To end with, under the seat we have a twin air foam filter. This is really important because on these bikes, if you use them a lot off-road, you want to go for a foam filter. Then we changed the tires. We put Dunlop Rally tires. A lot of riders have already used these tires in Dakar and Africa race. I personally like them. I think they provide a bit more grip than the Michelin Desert tire, but it depends on the situation. You know, in some situation the Michelin Desert is better, others the Dunlop is better. Now we'll see Cristiano what he'll think, because this is the first time he will try this set of tires. We're at the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think. This is one of many 701s that we have built this year. It was a fun project. Now I'm curious to see Cristiano race the Deus Swank Rally, and hopefully he'll make me proud. Thanks guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe and follow me on Instagram and all my social media. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!